Sometimes, the most influential man in the country like Iran is the one you almost never hear speak. For decades, he has been the ultimate gatekeeper, a son, a soldier, and a strategist. He holds no official government office. He has never run for election. Yet, his name is whispered in the halls of the IRGC and shouted in the streets by those who fear a new dynasty is rising. This is the story of Mojtaba Khamenei, the man in the shadows, and the battle for the future of Iran. It was the 10th day of Ramadan, February 28th, 2026. Inside a highly secure presidential compound in the heart of Tehran, the most powerful family in the Middle East was gathered. And then, the sky fell. In a massive, unprecedented targeted strike ordered by Washington and Jerusalem, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the man who ruled Iran with absolute authority for 37 years, was killed. The missiles devastated an entire dynasty in seconds. His wife, his daughter, his son-in-law, his grandchildren, and his daughter-in-law, Zahra, all gone. But one man survived the blast. Pulled from the rubble with severe leg and facial injuries is a 56-year-old cleric named Mojtaba Khamenei. Days later, missing from public view, the Iranian regime crowned this wounded survivor as the new supreme leader. But where is he? Opposition groups claim he might be in a coma. Israel is mocking him as a cardboard cutout. And yet, this phantom Ayatollah now controls a nuclear program, a hidden billion-dollar global real estate empire, and a region engulfed in all-out war. To understand the man hiding in the bunker today, you have to go back to the beginning. Mojtaba Khamenei was born in 1969. He didn't grow up in luxury, he grew up in paranoia. His childhood was defined by his father's violent rebellion against the US-backed Shah of Iran. But Mojtaba isn't just a religious scholar who hid in libraries. In 1987, at just 17 years old, he did something that defines his entire grip on power today. He went to war. He joined the infamous Habib ibn Mazahir battalion and went to the front lines of the Iran-Iraq war. This wasn't just a military deployment. It was the forging of his entire worldview. He spent his youth fighting the forces of Saddam Hussein, a dictator who, at the time, was heavily backed by the United States. The teenagers he fought alongside in those muddy, brutal trenches didn't perish. They grew up. They became the generals, the intelligence directors, and the supreme commanders of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC. Mojtaba didn't just make friends in the army. He forged lifelong pacts with the men who now control Iran's ballistic missiles. When his father became supreme leader in 1989, Mojtaba moved into the shadows. While his brothers took public-facing roles, Mojtaba became the ultimate gatekeeper. Leaked US diplomatic cables began calling him the power behind the robes. If an Iranian president, general, or foreign diplomat wanted to speak to the supreme leader, they had to get past Mojtaba first. While managing access to his father, Mojtaba was also actively shaping Iran's most dangerous assets. For the last decade, Mojtaba hasn't just been managing his father's schedule. He has been the shadow architect of Iran's nuclear program. While diplomats tried to negotiate treaties, it was Mojtaba and his IRGC loyalists aggressively pushing to enrich uranium closer and closer to weapons-grade levels. He knew that a nuclear deterrent was the ultimate insurance policy for the regime. But building that kind of power takes immense wealth. The Iranian regime constantly preaches death to the West. Yet, while ordinary Iranians struggled under crippling economic sanctions, Mojtaba was quietly building a sprawling international investment network. Just days ago, in March 2026, massive investigations dropped revealing Mojtaba's secret global wealth. We're talking about a £100 million real estate empire in the UK alone. Mansions on London's exclusive Billionaire's Row, luxury villas in the Beverly Hills of Dubai, penthouses in Toronto, all allegedly funded by Iran's illicit oil trade, moved through shadow companies, which completely shatters his pious cleric image. By 2019, the US Treasury had seen enough. They slapped extreme sanctions directly on Mojtaba, officially recognizing him as his father's ruthless enforcer and financial architect. For 2 decades, Mojtaba built an empire in the dark. He took control of massive state-run financial foundations, building a multi-billion-dollar slush fund that eventually got him sanctioned by the US Treasury. But the world truly learned his name in 2009. When millions of Iranians flooded the streets to protest a rigged presidential election, the regime panicked. The protests, known as the Green Movement, threatened to topple the government. The man reportedly put in charge of crushing that rebellion? Mojtaba Khamenei. Working directly with the uncompromising IRGC intelligence branch, Mojtaba orchestrated a crackdown of terrifying severity. It was during these dark days that Iranian citizens did something unthinkable. For the first time, they chanted his name in the streets. They screamed, "Mojtaba, may you perish before you see leadership." They knew he was being groomed for the throne. But there was a massive problem. The entire point of the 1979 Islamic Revolution was to dismantle hereditary monarchies. They overthrew a king so that a son would never again simply inherit a country from his father. For years, the regime denied that Mojtaba would take over. It would make them look like massive hypocrites. After suppressing the 2009 protests, Mojtaba didn't retreat. He doubled down. Throughout the 2010s, as his father aged and battled rumors of severe illness, Mojtaba practically became the acting supreme leader. He took over the daily briefings. He managed the Supreme Leader's office. His grip became so absolute that in November 2019, the United States government explicitly stated that his father had delegated a massive portion of his leadership responsibilities directly to Mojtaba, including close coordination with the fearsome Quds Force. When the historic 2022 Mahsa Amini protests erupted, threatening the regime once again, it was Mojtaba's loyalists in the IRGC who orchestrated the harsh crackdowns on young men and women in the streets. But even with all this power, Mojtaba had one massive problem. He wasn't the only one in line for the throne. For years, the political elite favored another man to succeed his father, Iran's hardline president, Ebrahim Raisi. Raisi had the religious credentials, he had the political office, and he didn't carry the baggage of creating a hypocritical father-to-son dynasty. Raisi was the chosen one, until May 19, 2024. On a foggy afternoon near the border of Azerbaijan, President Raisi's helicopter mysteriously fell from the sky, crashing into the mountains and killing everyone on board. Officially, it was ruled a tragic accident caused by terrible weather. But in the bazaars of Tehran and the halls of Western intelligence, a darker rumor spread like wildfire. With Raisi dead, the path to the supreme leadership was suddenly, conveniently, wide open. Mojtaba's final, most powerful rival had just been erased from the board. The shadow Ayatollah was now the only man left standing. All he had to do was wait for his father to pass away naturally. But he wouldn't have to wait for nature to take its course. In June 2025, there was a brief 12-day war between Israel and Iran. It was a test run. Israel successfully overwhelmed Iran's air defenses, proving the regime was vulnerable. Fast forward to today. The Middle East is on fire. The February 28th strikes removed the Iranian government's top leadership. US President Donald Trump explicitly called for the Iranian people to rise up and take their country back. The bombs destroyed the supreme leader's compound. In the chaotic days following the assassination of his father, the 88-member Assembly of Experts met in a state of absolute panic. The country was actively exchanging ballistic missiles with Israel and American bases in the Gulf. They needed a leader immediately. On March 8th, they gave the throne to the wounded survivor. Why him? Because the IRGC demanded it. The military didn't want a soft reformist or a weak cleric. They wanted their brother-in-arms from the 1980s. They wanted the man who already controlled the state's finances and intelligence wings. They wanted Mojtaba. And so, a new dynasty was born in conflict. But Mojtaba Khamenei is inheriting a crumbling castle. The Iranian people are deeply divided. While some mourn the death of the Ayatollah, shocking footage has emerged of citizens in Tehran, Isfahan and Shiraz pouring into the streets to celebrate the strikes, only to be met by security forces. US President Donald Trump has effectively declared open season on the regime. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz has publicly stated that whoever replaces Ali Khamenei is an unequivocal target for elimination. They know exactly where Mojtaba is, and Mojtaba knows they know. Yet the regime is desperately spinning his survival into a divine mandate. In 1981, his father, Ali Khamenei, survived a devastating assassination attempt that permanently paralyzed his right arm. The regime used that injury as pure propaganda, calling him a living martyr chosen by God to lead. Today, state media is doing the exact same thing with Mojtaba. They call him a janbaz, a wounded veteran. Iranian officials admit his legs were critically injured in the strike that took his family. Right now, as you watch this video, the supreme commander of one of the world's most formidable militaries has not shown his face. He is reportedly issuing orders to fire missiles at US bases from a hospital bed in an undisclosed bunker, terrified that the next American bunker buster bomb has his name written on it. The Israeli Foreign Ministry even trolled him by printing a cardboard cutout of him with the caption, "You can run, you can hide, but cardboard regimes fold." Mojtaba Khamenei spent 30 years waiting in the shadows. He is ruthless, he is grieving, and he has absolutely nothing left to lose. And in a geopolitical chess game with nuclear stakes, a man with nothing to lose is the most dangerous piece on the board. This is a rapidly developing war, and the geopolitics of the Middle East are shifting by the hour. Do you think the Iranian people will accept a father-to-son dictatorship? Or is this the Berlin Wall moment where the regime finally collapses? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments.